Okay. Today's class is a continuation for our yesterday previous class. And,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. Today we
One.
discussed a few things and regarding the SharePoint sites and the search functionality and the SharePoint documents. And exactly the
Yeah.
way you can also add a workflow to a document library or a list or a site. That's the major advantage for the SharePoint. Like workflow for entire document library or any one single list or any site. You can think like why we need to add three workflows. Like suppose somebody you want to notify someone who is creating a new site and you have a permission. If you have a higher permissions, site collection admin rights, the so that time they will notify like somebody created a new site in your site collection. That kind of workflows also you can build. And also any new document is added, that will notify you at the document level. Or in same site, suppose 20 people are working and 20 people are sharing the same site and they want to create different kind of documents. Like you are seeing here one document library, this is called one document library. This kind of document libraries many they can create. But whenever they create new document library also, workflow will send you notifications. So this is a best option in a SharePoint. Workflow is kind of things. And today we can go with one transaction and getting my document into the SharePoint document library. I will show you that. And before that, I am explaining advantage with SharePoint and what it is going to do in our actually like any Microsoft, Excel, PowerPoint. Yesterday we discussed all these things. And Microsoft Outlook, I think everybody has a idea about what is Microsoft Outlook, right? Do you use Microsoft Outlook anytime?
Yes, ma'am, I do have.
Yeah, Microsoft Outlook is tightly integrated with the SharePoint. All Outlook calendar, you can manage both. So when you see SharePoint calendar is exactly the same like in Microsoft Outlook. You can import and export content and you can switch between two applications, SharePoint and Outlook. You can import all contacts and the SharePoint exactly the same way. You can also export from this to Outlook, interact between two applications. That I will explain later. In our today's class, I am not going to roam around all other topics. The main topic I will show you. Suppose I created this site here and all items.aspx is the one site when I create. And when once if I created this site, I don't have any libraries, any lists here. So now I created one document library. In site contents, in the left navigation bar, whenever you click a site contents, it will give you all the content what you have in your SharePoint site in the single site. Like suppose you may have different sites, so you see all your contents under one site collection. Here it is showing exactly the same contents and subsites. I told you yesterday, one site may contain many subsites. That point is later, I will explain. Right now, just stick to only one website and under that site, how many contents you have. Interact between all these contents and upload some document into these libraries. These are all libraries. Specific, you don't need to by heart anything. What is a document library and what is a list? And it is showing here type. You see in the name column first. After that, you see type and how many items and when it was last modified. This document library, irrespective of any user. One document library can share with any of your other applicants and but anybody can modify. Whoever modify, it will notify a last modified date. And this is document library. I will explain what is document library and what is a list. These are the two main categories. Most of the time, our SharePoint server or online will turn around these two concepts, SharePoint document library and list, because main topic is storing the content in the cloud, right? So the document library or list will hold all your content most of the time. And every document library has other documents. One document library you can categorize with any accounting documents and other contracting documents, these kind of things. You can categorize with the different document library names. And every document library has a different kind of documents. But documents, in the sense, once you create a document, you must think whether do I need to go for a document library or list. List is exactly like a Excel file. Excel file is a flat file, rows, columns in one Excel file. List also works in the same format. In list, we don't attach any documents into the Sharepoint list. We attach documents and any content. We will attachments. Document library will contain attachments. You can attach any file with the document library if you create a document library. But list, no document libraries, only set of rows and columns, and create all your content in that. But you can provide links. That link may point to any website. It can external or internal, any document, it can be anything, that link. So as long as we have a permission, you can navigate from there. Link, like a links list. This is a links list, and I created this one. If I click this links list, it will show. If I have any content, it will show you this list. Don't, this is called a list, it's not a document library. This list has only title, link, and add column, anything, any modified date, so and so, but it contains links. This link will point to any other place. It can be document also. In suppose in a document library, you have a document, that path you can enter here. All links are having only flat file with the rows and columns. Also you can provide links. That's a thumb rule. And when you go back here, and I'll show you that document library has attachments. Let me go back here in the training documents. If I show you training documents, every document library must have, it's important, it's a, because when you have attachments, that time you will come and create document library. These are all attachments, uploaded files, every document library. When you open this one, it will show you document.docs.
One question.
Yeah, tell me.
So you are saying the list is similar to the Excel file or a Word document, right?
Yeah, list is similar to Excel file. Like in Excel, you see when you open any Excel file, you see rows and columns, right? No attachment. Like editable format, like rows and columns.
Yeah. Okay. So
Think as a
in
table.
SharePoint,
Mhm.
okay. So in SharePoint, list is similar to Excel, we can think, right?
Yeah, list is similar to the Excel. Excel means, why I'm telling Excel, Excel has rows and title columns, right? Titles, column titles.
Yeah.
You will have your column titles here. When you go to links list, every either list or document has the same. No problem, exactly, you can work along with the, but other than attachments in a document library, you can attach documents like suppose what documents you have that you are going to attach into the document library, you can perform a document training documents. But in the list, we will create like a flat file, some information in a rows and columns tabular format in a list.
Okay, it is editable. I mean, we can do any changes, right?
Yeah,
We can edit, right?
you can edit list and you can do so many modifications, so many types of columns also you have in a list. In document library also you have different kind of columns. These columns are not same, it can be, it may not be same, because when you add any column, it is going to be, this is a attachment type, like a file attachment column type, and this is modified, it is showing date format, and modified by, it is showing text. See, Swarnaji is a text file, this is a date format, and metadata column type, and different kind of it can be checkbox, optional button, yes, no. Suppose you can have another column, completed, like yes, no, right? Boolean type, yes, no type you can add. And suppose this document is done, your workflow will modify and notify you that this document editions are over. So you can make a confirmation like yes, no checkbox. You can make a workflow for that, or you can manually do that. Edit this one and go to editing options and the properties. In that column, you can modify like this document work is done. Yes, no type column. That I will definitely give you all column types and how it is going to interact. What is the use of different types
So
of.
whatever the changes we have done, can we consider that as a transaction?
Yes, whatever the changes you have done in a document library, that is called as a one transaction. Two types of transactions you have to notify. One is columns in a document library. You have suppose 10 columns. Those are the changes that you can make. Suppose you want to track the record whenever any new column is added, any column is deleted, or any column is changed. This one you can make it as a document library workflow will work on the document library. Okay, it is tracking all the record, not irrespective of one document. It is monitoring entire document library structure when you create a workflow on entire document library. Okay, I'm telling three steps. One is the site workflows and document library workflows, and also any document is changing under this document library also will notify you like through workflows. These are the three things we can do. You should understand the difference. Editing a document or editing document library columns is different. These are the library columns, right?
Yeah.
And once you click this document, it's related to only this row, single row transaction. It's not related to any other document. Only this document
Okay.
is related to one line. That's you have to remember. This column will affect to all other documents. Whatever the column you add, that is not, you're not adding for only this document, right? Suppose you have 100 documents, it is going to affect this column, new column, to all other 100 documents. That's why you should be very careful adding new column to document library. I think you got my point,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why when once if you want to add any other column to the document library, that is going to affect to all other document. That's why you have to think whether should I add or not. But don't think adding a column is going to import all other content into this document library until unless you edit that column for the previous documents. Until unless you edit that column and do some one entry, it is not going to allow that new entry to previous documents. But new documents automatically trigger for the new column also. Suppose I'm adding a new document here, suppose in another column, and new documents whenever you add, it will ask you for all other properties, what all you have, that you are need to fill all the properties here. If I see here and more and properties, these are the properties. These properties means this document has how many properties, how many columns. You are tracking the information, it will give you all the information here. See here, name and title, they have a two properties here. Okay, suppose edit all, file is checked out or locked. Suppose if the file is checked out, it is not going to allow you to edit until unless you check back in this property. This is called checkout. Means it is giving you rights to edit the document. Only you can edit the document, and once you check out the document, that is a major advantage with the document library documents. Suppose then 20 people are there, 20 people cannot edit the same document. You are thinking that I am the only one person, I should edit this document, no others should be allowed at this moment. So that time what you can do, you can simply come here and check out or check in. See here is a discard checkout or something, because it is not it is already checked in. So I am trying to discard that. I don't want it. I am giving this to everyone permission to allow this modifications. Let me discard this. Now this green mark has gone. I think you understood that check-in checkout concept. Here I will show you once again. This is checkout. Checkout means you need to come to the more properties and checkout. Once it is checked out, Other user cannot do anything until you check in. That is a locking system. So you can lock your document until you finish your changes, commit changes, then come to check in. And in the same place you will find check in once it is checked out. Now I checked out this document. See, that green button is showing here is a checked out to Swarnaji. It is showing checked out to I just checked out. So anybody can log in into their SharePoint site. Now they don't edit this, but they can view the document. Checkout doesn't mean that they cannot view the document. They will definitely view the document, but latest modifications, what you're doing after checkout, they are not going to see until you confirm all your latest modification onto the document and check back in, and then only they will see your new modifications, any other user. So that is a major advantage. I will give you clear information with one document, and I will do many times checkout, check-in, and edition, and interacting with another user and how he is going to see. And I'll put two users side by side here on the same screen, and I'll show you. Then you will understand the difference, how it is going to work in later classes. But now what we can do is, let me get one new document into the document library. And because these are the beginner sessions, in the previous class, as I told you, many options are coming one by one, but in right now you think about document library, and madam said document library and list. Now you are not talking about anything about the list. I will explain about the list and what are the advantages and differences, and with practical examples. And in document library right now we are working with only document libraries, all documents, and getting from the system some documents and keeping it here. And what maximum things I can do with the document library, what are all the main advantages with the document library, and showing this document library onto the newly created website. It's very straight. And we create one website and keep all this content onto the website, then you will get more idea. Then you will see, yeah, this is the main advantage, this is very useful, and with less work we are displaying all this content onto the SharePoint site. Any in meanwhile you can ask me like any questions if you get, but sometimes it's okay. But just I'm continuing myself that you are following me. Okay, you're following me, right, Malika? I think you are there. That's okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
So the main advantage of any website, you talk about any website, what it is showing, some content they display onto the site, it is not going to pull any data from the server. It is just information on the website, on the HTML page or ASPX page. It is not going to interact between any server. When it is going to interact between the server, it is making a call to the server, pulling data from the server, displaying onto the website is one transaction. That transaction you are doing right now, it's like list and library contents. You think like these are all backend data storing onto the SharePoint server and getting all this data. This is, it doesn't mean that it is showing all this data onto the SharePoint site. It is backend. I am showing you from the backend what is scenario and how many documents. I think you worked on SQL server, right? SQL server. In the SQL server also you have a table and some columns, some rows. This SQL server data still it is going to display onto the HTML page. Same thing, but it's not in a SQL server, but all the content is going to store in a SQL server in SharePoint also. But at present we are not discussing anything about it. You are thinking like you are storing, instead of SQL server, you are storing your data into the training documents library or any other document library, or some data I don't need any attachments, only just information. Suppose person name, contacts you don't need any until unless they have a photos, then you don't need any attachments. Person name, person who is a company name, where he is working and what is his background, this kind of flat data you can make it as a list of contacts that you can go for links, links list or just list, anything. That one later concept. Right now we are working with only training documents. You think like this is in a backend we are making our structure to display this onto the SharePoint site is the next step. And straight away I will ask you to do some transactions in a document library. Here I checked out this document, and you know that this one nobody can edit. And let me get back, and here check in. I showed you this exactly the same place. You saw checkout. Now it is displaying with check in. So you can check in, or you see the another option above this check in is a discard checkout. Check in, before doing check in, you can also think discard checkout when suppose you did so many changes for your document, but you are thinking you don't want any more changes. I want your previous document must be there, no newly added content, I don't want any more. Then you can simply discard the checkout. It is not going to commit any changes. Or you can check in all. Okay, you can check in. After that also, do you have so many versions you can manage for one single document. Even though you check in, sorry, let me do. Okay, even though you check in, you can track your previous document very easily. That is a major advantage. You can check in so many times, check out so many times. Every time when you check out and check in, it is considering as a one version history, like one version, new version of the document. The any previous version, you can go back to the any previous version, and you can make that previous version as a current version of your document. Means after you have done any changes after that version, suppose one document can maintain in your site 10 versions. Like in the first version, not much content. After you check out and check in, it is tracking another version. Then that is ninth version or eighth version, like that. Suppose if you go back to the ninth version, 8, 7, 6, these versions will go away. All latest modifications, long back document only will represent as a new document on your document library. That I will step by step I will explain. That is because that is very important, and everybody should understand what is the meaning of this checkout and check-in, and how many versions we can manage, and also major versions and minor versions. This version history is entirely one topic. I will explain later with document.
Ma'am, so can we think like, is it something Control Z and Control Y?
Yes,
Uh,
Control Z
okay.
will send you back all discarding all your changes on a document, right? Anything like Control G means undo.
Yeah.
Undo changes, or control V in a copy paste kind of things. Control Z is going back, but when it will go back until you save, right? The current, suppose I'm editing a document, Control Z will say send you back to the previous step, but until unless you don't save the document. Once if you save and store in your file and reopen the file, then Control Z won't work.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand? Now,
Yeah. Is it the same case with I mean, what you're talking about? If we do check-in, and then if I mean, whatever the transaction, I mean, if I edit some content over there and then check out, is it gonna be the same?
yeah. Well, suppose, yeah, once if you check out and do all changes and again check in, okay, so it is going to save the document. Like you in a document, like normal document editing, if you do Control Z, it means next time you open the document, it is not going to accept, right? Here, what you
Yeah.
can do after you check in the document, you want to do again Control Z. It's already checked in. I want to do Control Z, like undo those changes, even though it is already saved, but you can track that. You have that another file, previous file, and every file change, it will make some copies. Every file updations. Suppose I will show you one demonstration and how it is. Also, you can,
We'll have practical example, right?
yeah, version history. This is called version history. See, at present, it has two files. One is 2.0, one is 1.0. Same document edited on 5:06 p.m. and 1:13. After that, they have done some changes on 1/29th. But two files it is showing. Right now, current version is 2.0. Now, I don't want any changes which has happened in a 2.0 version. Now, still you can go back here and you can make this as a restore. Once if you restore, what will happen after this file, what all the changes you have done, it is not going to display. It is going to display as a first place. If I restore this one, it is going to take me to the first step. Suppose here now it became the current version. See here, I restored as a new one. Now this one, this content is going to show in my current file because I am going back and taking, because this at present previous current file is going to the next step. Now when you click the document, is going to track only first version anytime. It can be 20, 30 versions also. Any version if you restore, that is going to treat as a current document, not all previous changes. I will show you this one with one current one example, so you will understand.
ఓకే మ్యామ్, నేను ఒకటి తెలుగులో చెప్పొచ్చా? నాకు అంటే నాకు అర్థమైంది. ఐ వాంటెడ్ టు టెల్ యూ.
So if you don't check out the file, and if you coming back with the check-in version, it is not going to track all the versions of the document library. Normal editing is not going to consider as a one version. So make sure every time check out the document and check back in. Also we can make this one as a compulsory mandatory field. Everybody who is going to edit this document must be checked out. That is the rule that we can perform in a settings. Admin can do that settings. Anybody need to check out the document before editing any document, so that because of that you are tracking all the information, what kind of information, who is checking out and who is doing what kind of modifications. Yeah, one of your colleague may do some modifications on a document library. You don't want anymore. You can track back again and you can restore that version. It is not like I did this many changes and they did so they maintain 4 versions. You maintain 4 versions. I am able to track back all my versions only. Not like that. As long as you have a permission, you can also do any tracks with others modifications. Whatever the versions other users has been stored, you have right to cancel those changes because you have the permissions. So that is the collaboration. You can also restrict those permissions. You can also have your own permissions. They can also have their own permissions, but whoever has the admin rights, then they are able to manage all these kind of versions. This is not that much complicated also once we start doing any of these works. That is the main thing. And we'll take one document and I can show you. But right now what I will show you is that getting document into the Sharepoint document library. Okay. And first, getting information document library into the Sharepoint document library is important. Then next topic is versioning, because versioning will work with Sharepoint documents. And before that you must know all this menu, what is this menu options and how it is going to work. Overall description I'm going to explain, but not in depth. And after you're comfortable with all these options, then I will ask you to interact with one document after you're comfortable this one. And also one second, let me minimize this screen. Here is a gear icon. You see this gear icon, it will let you go into library settings. This is important. Library settings means these settings are going to applicable only for this library, the current library what you are having. Then you can go and just do some settings, like when you go to the library settings, you can modify columns and add columns. All these concepts you must be familiar with, and I will explain everything. These are the columns right now I am showing here, title, created by, and all this. You can visible columns, even though columns are there in document library. You can hide some columns. It need not to be. It's all based on the view what you selected. Here it is a create all documents view. Every view is different. Every view you can restrict with the so much of content. You can filter the content from the document library in every view. That view can be displayed onto the Sharepoint screen. And right now we are in all documents view. I will explain what are all other views you can create. Suppose I don't want to, I have 50 columns in my document library. I want to display only 4 columns. Then you can make a separate view for that. That view will represent as a one just copy of the document library. It's not virtually you can just display that content onto the SharePoint site. And where conditions you can display, like in a query, you write a query, it's right. Select employee number, comma employee name, where employee join date is so and so. Like where condition means you are going to filtering data from the table and extracting whatever the content you want that you are displaying onto the SharePoint site, like on any HTML pages or any ASPX page. The same kind of queries you can perform without writing any query. Here just automatic. With the views only, this view itself is lot of meaning. You can perform so many conditions onto the views. Here my view is showing all documents, and these are the columns only I selected. If I select many columns, if I have content, and it is going to display onto the view. Suppose one view I want few columns, another view I want another columns, like then you go for two views. These two views can be displayed as a tabular format onto the SharePoint site. That any views you can perform. Different type of views. See, sort. You can sort the data and name wise and sort any column. It can be any of your SharePoint document library column. You can sort data by name or by ID or by title or app created by, suppose you can sort data with only particular user or app modifier and checked out to, and you have so many documents, 5,000 line items, and I want to see how many documents has been checked out at the moment. I want to see that report exactly. So then you can just make a condition, checked out to so and so user, like that. You can perform this condition. This one step by step I will explain. Views concept is different. Document library is different. After that type library and how many views are required and how these views are interacting with SharePoint web pages and how we can display this content onto the SharePoint site. Everything is storing documents, displaying onto the site, but in a facilities, what all the facilities SharePoint provided. In the list also, storing content into the SharePoint list and displaying onto the SharePoint sites and interacting between two sites and site collections and with many users in an enterprise level. This is the main topic, this, and I hope we can go with the different topics in once if you start really class, maybe in tomorrow or something. I will explain one by one. You have any doubts, then you can ask me, or we can upload. I want to upload today one document in front of you, and I'll show you the information. With me here.
Okay.
Here I'm getting new document into my document library. Here Word document, or you can upload a document. I will explain these two differences later. New document always contain. You are making now Word document. You don't have any document in your computer. Right now you can create new documents in a SharePoint and it will store in a document library once if you create a document here, not in your computer. And otherwise you may think I already have one document in my computer. I am getting that into SharePoint site. That is, this is what here, upload a document, or you can simply drag and drop in the documents folder. Suppose information sheet 5. Okay, this one I don't have in my document library. See here information sheet 1 and here is information sheet 5. Now I am going to get this information sheet 5 into document library. Now what I can do is simply I can drag and drop here. See here, information sheet 5 came from my file folder to SharePoint document library. That easy it is. Or you can multiple, like you can hold all these and you can drag and drop here. But I will show you later what are all important documents. I will make some files here and drag and drop all at the same time, single attempt into the document library. Okay. This one. Yeah, this is what, and in next class what I will show you is I will create one SharePoint document library and fresh library, and we'll see what columns you require for that document library. From there we will work it out and get some documents. And first, until I finish document library concept completely, I'm not going to touch any other topic. First, this is the main topic for me, and Meanwhile, we need to understand about the SharePoint site also, because what are all the contents, what are all the activities you are doing, better to display onto your SharePoint site to track all the information in single site itself. Whenever you open SharePoint site, you see, yes, these are the document libraries I have created and so many workflows attached to those document libraries. Those kind of information you can track. Okay, that is about today's class, and yeah, I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you so much, Malika.